Okay, it looks like we're back. I don't know what happened. Okay, looks like we're back from outer space. We were interrupted a while ago. Oh, hey, EK. Hi, ma'ams. Okay, just waiting for Kay to accept the request. We were interrupted a while ago. We were already on plant number 6.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we're back.
I'm back. Okay, cool.
Okay, so yeah, I think I was done with plant number 6. Just a rewind. I talked about the Repsalis baxifera, actually, which is a plant under the epiphytic cactus genus. Okay, so what's your plant number 6K?
All right, so if you guys can see them back here, plant number 6 for trailing favorites has to be Compactas. I love Hoya Compactas. I know a lot of people like cringe at the thought of Compactas because of all the nooks and crannies, but let me tell you guys, if you fight or prevent at the forefront and you keep them isolated from, don't bring them outside or anything like that, then pests definitely aren't an issue for these guys. So this one over here is probably about cutting it close to 5 feet long. Wow. Already. And it's actually, I have a little treat for you guys. It's blooming.
Oh my gosh, so is the peduncles. There, it's the bloom. Wow, I love that they bloom at the tip though. It's very aesthetic.
It is, it's so pretty. Actually, so this is the second time I've gotten this particular one to bloom. Baby boy has one that's pushing 6 feet in his room, and that one is just a constant bloomer. Like, I swear, as soon as it drops buds, another one of its peduncles just starts blooming. So this is just the plain old green one over here. This Compacta over here, so it's got one long reverted green strand, but let me show you. So this is oh my gosh, my screen. The inner variegated one, enough to make like a little flower crown with it.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect, yeah.
So that's the inner variegated, and then so I'm going to show you guys. Hold on, I'm going to tip this up so you can't see the mess here. But I also have a pair of outer variegated ones right here. So, and this one I've trimmed a couple times already. And it looks like it's going to bloom. I've got 2 peduncles that are pushing buds. So yeah, these are my outer variegated pair. And then, gosh, it's so weird to move with the tripod. This is my pair of inner variegated ones. And then an extra inner variegated plus the green one. So that's what we have over here. Hoarder, right?
I could see that. Yeah, I could see the Compacta lovers in the comments.
Yeah, so what's your...
I was telling Patricia that the Compacta looks like intestines.
It does. It looks like intestines.
So this is my plant number 7. So this is a more common one, actually. So this is a Ceropegia woody linearis. Yeah, or the string of needles, right? So this I also imported a few years ago, and I'm glad they're available locally now. Oh, there's some dry leaf here. And it's just super long. Like, it's in my waterfall wall, actually.
Oh yeah, the trailing wall you have.
Yeah, a lot of people are bothered that I don't untangle them, but like for me, as long as they don't tangle between each other, they should be okay.
Totally.
And whenever they do, and I actually only realize that when I take them down, like today, I remembered like, oh, I want to take the Linares on this show and tell. And then I realized like one of the other string of hearts pot had a strand. Trying to choke this one. Choke me, daddy, they said.
Oh my
So this
God.
is my plant number 7.
All right, so my plant number 7 is actually right behind me again. And you guys might have gotten a peek of it already, but it is Repsalis clavata. And I swear it's like one of the prettiest cascading Repsalis there are. Let me see if I can get you guys a little bit closer to get a closer look at it. So when I first acquired this, it was probably only about this long. I'm just gonna sweep this up so you can see how much longer it is. So it's just growing. I want to say it's probably about pushing between 3 and 4 feet now. But yes.
And the clavata has like chunkier segments, and that's what I love.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fluted shape, which is different from the cousin it that you sent me, or like Brada, Burkellii, which are all just kind of like the same diameter all the way through each segment. This one kind of flares out right at the tip, and it's just so good. Really,
it's so beautiful, really.
Thank you. All right, what's your next one? Window light for EWNS. Oh, West.
West.
So, you can see there's like some shine from a grow light down here, but that's because I have my prop box down there. So the light serves the prop box, not the actual plants. These plants get light from the west facing window there. So yes.
Prime real estate, west facing window as well, along with the south. Yeah. My plant number 8 is a Hoya. Actually, it's quite common. But what makes this special is because it was a gift from a friend. When she gave me this, it was this long in a 5-inch pot. Although I had to move it into a smaller pot. This is probably like a 4-inch, 4.5-inch. No. Yeah, like, but you see like the way that it grew through the years since 2000.
Wow. That's impressive.
And another thing with a Curtisii is that it's one of the Hoyas that forms splashes and also reacts to extreme or high light conditions. So they could also blush, and the undersides of the leaves actually, I'm so bad at showing plants this way because this planter is heavy. It's ceramic, but it's self-watering. So the undersides are red, and then the leaves are like splashy and green in front. Plus, I was telling Kay earlier about their very clingy aerial roots that are just trying to grab everything. And this one also could shingle. I've seen other people grow theirs in terracotta, and the leaves and the aerial roots will shingle or cling onto the actual material. I tried it, but it was a fail because it wasn't a healthy cutting that I practiced with in the first place. So yes, common Hoya, it's just a matter of how you grow it. It'll have very great impact.
Yes,
okay.
I agree. I love that one. I have one that has red leaf backs because of the bright light that it grows in. So love that. Woo, whoa, we're so bright. Sorry guys, I'm moving into my permanent usual spot now because I don't have to move around anymore. All right. Let's see. What number are we on? We're on 7, 6, or 7?
You're going on your plant number.
Guys. Okay, there you
are. Okay.
All right. So my next favorite trailing plant is none other than Repsalis paradoxa, which is this one right here. It is just this beautiful trailing chain-like Repsalis, which is a jungle epiphytic cacti. And Sai and I actually have siblings of this particular plant, as in like actual siblings. And when we received our plants, they were probably only like oh, you guys can't even see where I'm pointing. My bad. So like probably only this long. And now mine at the lowest point, probably about 3 feet long now.
That's so long. Yours has grown so much.
And it's actively growing again too, which is exciting. I just keep seeing little growths coming in and out. So you see guys why I can't like bring my plants down. It's just not safe. Sorry.
So much at risk. Okay, yeah, I'm on plant number 9 now. Am I right? Yeah. This is another Hupersia or Lycopodium. Actually, I need to be sure of the ID on this one. This is a Hupersia V-Noidis. So it's just one of those fern companions that I am so in love with because they're like so bouncy, like a freshly blow-dried hair. And when I got this in 2019, I believe, the longest one was just like this strand. And then it grew so much. I feel like it got lighter because it got so much light for the past few years. Because I have one that's fairly new, and I could really tell the difference in their color. Like this one is like thicker, I know wider rather, but it's like darker in green. This one grows like longer, but it's yellow green in color. So this probably got too much light. I think I could still reverse that, but because of the way that it trails, I don't really have a better spot to hang this in. So it'll have to do. I'm not really mad with a chartreuse green color. The thing with Hupersias is they're not really like something that you would come across in your local garden center unless it's an orchid show that you're going to or you see an online listing. So probably accessibility has improved through the years. Patricia, I have seen some Hupersias for sale. It's a website called Verdant Vivariums. They have a few right now. But yeah, I mean, Hupersias are really cool. So you might want to look into their genus. I have several on my window and just, easy. They're growing in self-watering pots as well.
All right, I had to run downstairs and around the house to grab these two, and I'm actually really nervous that I'm holding them. But my next plant is Sedum Organiana. So here is the pointy form. So you can see like the different colors, right? You've got like that neon color at the top and then like the frosted kind of green at the bottom. All that frosted green is the new growth in my home. And I got this one back in March. But then there's also the round form. So here they are next to each other. And they're both Sedum Organianum, but they just have different growth habits. And these are divas. If you look at them wrong, they drop all their beans. If you breathe on them, they drop their beans. I was like super nervous to get these in the first place to bring them up here. And if I look like I'm not paying attention to you guys, it's because I'm trying to figure out how to set them down or hang them carefully in my studio without killing it.
Yeah, so they're very fragile. Like people would always say, how to even repot them without losing a bean or two. You can't.
You don't.
I mean, you really.
Yeah, so when I say that 95% of my collection is in inorganic media, this is the 5%. I've got two of these, and then I've got a 10-inch pot of this as well. And none of them will be repotted. If anything, I'll probably somehow break the pots and just carefully move them to a bigger pot and just fill in around. But there's no way that like I'm gonna do a full repot on these guys because it's just not worth it.
You are officially the queen of tails. Taily everything, because even the burrow tails, I love that they're still super full, and those can look those could really have the ombre color too. I
Yep.
bet that yellowish one is also from the greenhouse where they're exposed to like super
Yep. Yep. All that growth at the top
bleaching
was,
light.
yes. And then all this lighter growth, or like more frostier growth was from here. All of my Morganianums got eastern exposure, so they get direct light up until about midday, except for, hold on, let me,
Like, how do you put one down?
I
Yeah,
don't.
we'll excuse you.
Yeah, you go ahead and then I'll jump back and show you guys the big one that I have hanging here. But go ahead and go on to your plant 10 while I hang these guys up.
Yeah, and I'll also answer some
Yeah,
questions.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Patricia, I don't know about Kay. I think she did say some bloom, but mine got blooms, but they're outside. We have to check with Kay if she ever got hers to bloom already indoors, because that's another thing that I'm super impressed. That you could keep succulents, the trailing ones for that matter, blooming and thriving indoors in a 4-season state, because that's something that I even struggle with, even though I'm in California, you know. So they have to stay outside just to be happy. And then who else had a question? Oh yeah, about the Hupersias. I will start with my plant number 10. So this is actually a really weird fern again. So if Kay is the queen of tails, I'm probably like the king of weird ferns. Because this one, the common term, or the common name rather, is tongue fern, ribbon fern. But this is an Ophioglossum pendulum, which is a fern companion again. I had some Hupersia cuttings that I don't know if they're still alive or not, so I just stuck them in moss. Probably one of the few ferns that I have in moss still and not really in pond, unlike the rest. But this is in a Wally Grow. I think this is called the Echo Planter from Wally Grow. So when I got this, it's just this front part, and the past few months, this year, they started growing from the back because they were getting a lot of the ambient light from the grow lights on the shelf. But another thing is, I feel like with this type of fern, I would notice that they're so happy when they form. I don't know if these are called leaves still, but they have spores afterwards. And I just actually snipped some of the dry spory thingies recently because I don't even have other ones that I could like cross pollinate it with. We don't have any insects inside that would do the job. I have thought of doing manual pollination with the spores, but I don't know if it'll be effective. But yeah, this one's so easy. I recently discovered that just doing self-watering on my ferns would cut down the task for me by like 80%. And all I have to do is like top up the reservoir, as long as I make sure to do like spot checks that the leaves are not soggy or like the moss itself is not deteriorating. I might need to add a new layer or something. Then they should be fine, because this one lived, whereas my first two, because this is actually my third one, died because they were mounted in a wood plank that I couldn't keep moist all throughout the year. So, yep, that's it.
So before I hop onto my last favorite, I just wanted to show you guys the 10-inch platter of Morganianum that I have. And it's that right there. And that does not move. It stays there. It comes down once a month, I guess, for a deep watering. But I got it, and it was probably only trailing up to here. It was a gift from a really dear friend. And then, so from here and down, it's grown. So
Okay.
that is my big one.
Yeah, Patricia was asking if you ever had your burrows bloom for you
Not
indoors.
yet. No, it hasn't bloomed for me yet. But I'm hopeful this year it will, because they are just getting so much light. And I am pretty confident that the burrows will, only because I have something else that's growing right next to it that is an arid plant that is about to bloom as well. So I know the light levels are there. I think I just need to get the watering down correctly, because I think I'm letting them dry out too long. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully this year, though, I'll get mine to bloom. I know you've gotten yours to bloom, right?
Yeah, but that's because they're outside and
Yeah.
under shelf, you know. So when you're really when succulents are exposed to like direct sun, they are kind of forced to bloom. But it's always a challenge to have them indoors, and that's what I was telling them. Like, I'm so impressed that these plants are living their best life indoors in a season location, and we're even gonna see them bloom soon. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully. All right, so my last favorite, actually, I have a lot of favorite trailing plants. As you guys can see, I have a lot of them here. But the last one I'm going to show you guys tonight is Repsalis Batchy Pharah. Excuse me a moment while I try and get this down without breaking anything.
So you did a lot of cardio for today.
I know. Oh my goodness. Moving around the house a lot. So I have to be careful when I take this one down because it's right next to the, oh my God, the big Sedum Organiana. But it's also been growing so happily that it's growing into plants on the shelf over there. But here, I'll stay on the stool. But here it is. This is how long it is.
Wow.
It's going.
Do I see berries?
You do see berries. Oh my goodness. Check this out, you guys. This has been blooming nonstop for me, and it's been growing berries. All right, let's do the influencer hold. There you go.
There.
See? And so when these are fully ripe, what I'll do is I'll pick them and then try and get the seeds out of there and see if I can grow more of this baby by seed. So when I received this plant, it was already pretty big. I'm not gonna lie. It was at an impressive length, about right here. And then everything below it was growth here. Like, and these new segments that it's growing are over like a foot long, which is
wow.
Like this right here is all new, and it's about 3 feet long, just one long segment, and then it just branched out like a couple weeks ago. So this is Repsalis Batchy Pharah.
That's so impressive.
Thank you. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's here.
You're going to find the kids hiding there one of these days.
I know, really. It's going to eat the kids one day, I think. It's so big. But it actually, as I was trying to pull it down just now, it tried to pull down our baby Squammy. I was like, that's why I freaked out. I was like, no, don't. It'll snap.
That's definitely like the challenge when you have a lot of trailing plants and you won't notice that they're actually trying to grab each other, you know, like hold each other's hands. So if you're not really careful, like you're gonna bring everything down, you know? So yes, Kay is showing off her very impressive trailing plant collection, but
I didn't even know I had that many until we planned this this episode. I was like, oh wow, I have a lot. And then like Sai and I were talking about it, and we were like, yeah, let's do a show and tell. And I was like, wait, I can't do that without me moving. I can't move the plants because it's just not safe for me or for the plants. Because Mr. Enrooted Love and I also were like trying to figure out ways to stage them here in the studio so that I could just like what you did, just grab and show. But there's just no way. I mean, that linearis, that wasn't going to come down. You know, all those compactas aren't going to come down. So.
But we really appreciate seeing them in their natural habitat in your home because it gives us like a good idea of like how do they thrive. Like people have been asking like which direction the window was facing, what light do they get, and things like that. And like how do you not break your very sensitive burro's tails? You know, like well, simply hang them in an isolated location, similar to like how our people are amazed like, oh, don't your cats like smack on your string of hearts? Well, when I stage them in a console cabinet, like that's not the natural habitat. I like doing creating vignettes and moments for my plants, but naturally they're hanging on an 8-foot empty ledge in front of a high window skylight situation. So the cats don't even bother. Like, they pass by the hallway and they don't even care about the string of hearts. But of course, when you put it down, twirl it a little bit and creates some movements, and it would trigger something in them. But technically they don't care. And that's why most of my trailing plants are safe up at least 8 foot to 12 foot from the floor.
Nice. Yeah. I like to kind of tackle plant placement in the house is like, where is it going to stay permanently? So I think I've said this before in a previous episode, but I don't acquire a plant unless I know it has a permanent spot already in our home with ideal lighting and just ideal conditions for that particular plant. And that keeps my numbers down so that I don't keep acquiring. But for the most part, I don't shuffle plants around. Even on the Hoya wall, very seldom will I shuffle, plants around, just because you see how often can I really take this guy down? Like, not really, like it's in its happy spot. You guys saw where all the other happy spots were in the house. And they kind of just hang out there. I'll take them down for waterings if they're not in passive hydro. But beyond that, they kind of just hang out there and do their thing. And thankfully, I've scored and just gotten lucky with where I put them. Because like the linearis, that I was like, oh, maybe north facing will be okay. I don't know. We'll see. And thankfully, that spot, like right in the middle of those windows, there are beams that run right where we put the hooks, so it worked out. Because that's one thing for me too, right? When I hang these guys, because everything has a water reservoir, it's heavier than if it were to grow in organic media. And I have to take that into account when I'm, one, before I even get a plant, but two, when I figure out placement for it. Because if it's trailing, it's got to go up. I don't have pedestals. I have 2 little kids, so it's not fair to them for me to put plants on pedestals and then they have to be walking on eggshells. Exactly. So we hang everything up that trails. And there's just logistically, there's a lot that goes into it and a lot of thought that goes into it before we even do that. So, yeah, that's me and my trailing.
Our friends, Steven and Patricia, are just sharing their experiences about their pets now in the comments section. Unfortunately, Kay and I, like for me, I've already mentioned my cats don't really mess with the trailing plants. Even when I had my trailing plants at the back of the couch against a wood shingle, like they were just trailing freely. I rarely see them like trying to smack something. And for everybody's knowledge, Kay also has a dog.
I do.
And she mentioned earlier, like it was getting in the way of what's his name again? I forgot. Bentley's. That's Bentley's chair. So I do see your stories every now and then that he's just sitting there, and right beside him are the Mican stems.
Yeah. And he doesn't mess with it. It doesn't bother him at all, but I just felt like it was unfair that my plants were now being intrusive to his space. So I twirled it just once, and I think it's starting to reach his area again. But yeah, my dog doesn't mess with the plants. He doesn't bite them. He could not be bothered by them, to be honest with you. He just he chills with them. Sometimes I'll put a plant next to his dog bed and it's the cutest thing. It's like he's in a little jungle because he's a Yorkie. He's tiny. So, you put a Birkin next to him and it looks like a tree. But yes, you guys, do you guys have any questions at all for us? We have more minutes left here, so definitely send some questions over about any of the plants that we shared, any plant care related to any of our favorite trailers. Did you guys enjoy this show and tell? I know it's a little different from the format that we normally go by. I think this was a little more free flowing and just kind of go with it. But yeah, let us know what you guys thought, because we had fun.
Yeah, I had fun. I mean, you had most the most cardio in our conversation. But I had a lot of fun. I really love, and that's what I think I saw Patricia say, that she was so impressed with the quality of specimens that you and I have. And that's what we are proud of as well, because it's not just like what plant is it, like how do you keep the quality of your plant to a certain specimen level? Because I remember personally a few years back, I was thinking like, oh my gosh, I should really stop with this obsessive behavior of wanting everything. Like, I think it was last year that I said, like, in my January notebook, like, for this year, I want to grow my plants into nice specimen sizes, just to maximize their potential, or like how they. And I think that we've been successful on doing that for the past year.
I think so, yeah.
And regardless if they're accessible, like a marble queen, or harder to find, like the Hupersias or the tail succulents, because you don't come across them in a nice specimen. Like, I've seen the tails in a nursery in a small 4-inch pot, and you just get one tail.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have a pack of dogs already that have, like, are competing with each other, and platters of all these trailing plant goods.
Yes, I love platters. I am guilty of, if I can't find platters, I will buy multiple smaller pots of them to create a platter. But for me, with a lot of my plants, especially the trailers, the goal is to have specimen-sized plants. And that's just for my own happiness and my own satisfaction. Like, for me, it's a challenge to take something that does not naturally grow in a house, to be able to care for it and nurture it and provide for it to grow into the specimen-sized plant. Will it ever get conservatory size? Probably not, unless I get my own conservatory. But I'm pretty happy with, how I'm growing these guys. Let's see here. Daddy Longleafs wanted to know, what's your oldest plant? Sai, what's your oldest trailing plant that you can think of there?
Actually, one of the first few tropical plants that I bought from a big box store is actually a marble queen, but it's not as lush as yours compared to when I had it in 2018, because the conditions aren't ideal. It's in a ledge, but it doesn't get a lot of light. It's still alive though, but when you don't really give the most ideal conditions to your plants, I'm just alive. I'm just glad it's still alive, but it's not doing the best, but it's probably like the oldest. I probably got it like around April of 2018 when I started buying houseplants.
Mine is, and I can't believe neither one of us shared this, but it's my original Serrapegia woodii, or a string of hearts, kokedama. It's still in its kokedama. I keep telling myself that I'm going to break it out of the kokedama and pot it with baby boys, because baby boy has a really nice pot of it that's well over 5 feet now. So that would probably be my oldest, or our oldest here at home. I can't believe we didn't share it. That's like one of our favorite plants too, is a string of hearts.
Yeah,
we completely
that's correct. And actually, I remember that picture of you holding the kokedama. And then I think it was like 2 years ago when you started to do like a comparison. Wasn't it like the first kokedama workshop that you attended, that you made, or what? Right?
So I took a kokedama workshop we did ferns. And then I had seen inspiration here on Instagram. Somebody in Australia had done a Serrapegia woodii kokedama. And I was like, I mean, it doesn't seem like it makes sense, because it has these huge tubers, and, it'll stay wet for a while until it's completely dry. So I tried it, and it worked for me. Like, it worked really well. So yeah, I still have the original one. Its roots are like pushing through out of the ball already. So I know it's time. I really do. I need to just cut it out of there, combine it with baby boys, so that less number of plants that we're maintaining, just combine it all together. And I think what I'll do is I'll put it in almost like a platter, kind of twist it around the top, and then pin it down so that it'll root, and then snip everything once it's rooted so that it starts trailing out, and we get this big
platter of string of hearts. You could just imagine that. Yeah, my friend Steve also. Yeah, I sent him some cuttings of when my string of hearts started to reach the floor. So I think that was a little over 7 or 8 feet. I started snipping them and then sending them to friends because as they got older, they also started to form a lot of the tiny potatoes, the nodes. No,
Yeah.
not forms. What are those called?
Tubers.
Yeah, the tubers. So it was just easy to pop the tuber in soil and it'll sprout more stems. So they're very prolific growers as well.
Actually, you remember you sent me the variegated ones?
Mm-hmm.
I have to show
Yeah.
it to you. It's like a full pot now and is beginning to trail.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
my
Which
dreams
reminds
are coming true. Hold on, let me get it real quick. You keep chatting, I'll be
Okay.
right back.
Okay. So yes, if you guys have questions, we're gonna entertain those questions. Our live was cut short this day. I don't know what happened, but it just got interrupted earlier, and we were still in the middle of our show and tell. I was still on plant number 6. I don't think that episode was saved. However, we are gonna be able to save the second half at least, just so I have reference. Okay, show me. Oh my gosh, it's trailing now. And I love your planter of choice.
Thank you. I love this. This is by Maya Zemmer Pottery.
Mm-hmm.
She is a small business. She's an artist, a creative. And yeah, I love this pot. I love this plant. Look how lush it is up top.
Oh my gosh, it's so full.
Yeah.
So have you had problems when they thinned out during winter? Because I definitely didn't have to circle them back. No?
No, it didn't thin out because it's right next to the Hoya wall. So it was getting southern exposure even throughout the winter. So even with the shorter days, it was getting bright light. So the growth slowed down, but there wasn't much exfoliation.
That's good. Because mine was like fuller, remember? But it thinned out and I had... So people ask me like, oh, how do you can maintain your string of hearts to still look full? What I do is like I circle them back on the top part of the pot. Like, how do I even explain it? Let me find an example, like I guess.
I'll show you guys. Since I have my out. So you take like this strand here that's trailing, and you just tuck it around and circle it around the pot.
You could also pin the stems to make sure that they are in contact with the soil or whatever medium you're growing your plant in.
Yep.
I agree with Daddy Long Leaves. Yeah, hairpins. A cheap hack is also buying those garden wires from the dollar store. I'm such a dollar store advocate. Hello, dollar store. Want to sponsor me? No. You cut them into shorter segments, like an inch and a half, and then just like fold them into 2, and then boop, boop, boop. That way, it also works. And it also is kind of like thin enough to be invisible when it's already in soil. But if it's the thin wire, in probably like a year or a year and a half, it'll cut in 2. So I think the bobby pins, which are like plastic PVC coated, are still better because they also have that like tiny curve at the edge, which really holds the stem in place.
Yup, that's it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. And thank you for hanging in there with the technical difficulties that we have. Sometimes, it happens, but thank you again. We really enjoyed doing this, and we loved interacting with you guys. This, I think, was our most interactive episode we've had so far, and we enjoy that. We enjoy, although it's Sai and I that are on the screen, we enjoy like this dialogue that we can have between all of us here. So thank you so much for joining us. Keep an eye out for next week's topic, and I hope you all have a safe and fun holiday weekend.
Yes. Thank you for hanging out. Bye.